Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the Unprofessional Professional Sports Show podcast. Whatever. It has gone from 4 to 2.
Man, be the last man standing pretty soon.
Right, but hey, that's okay.
It's like a cage match here, Brian. We're the last two standing.
We're the last two standing. That's right. I'm afraid for my life there, Keith. Anyway.
Don't be. I pick fights only with old ladies and young children. I got a chance to win that way. A chance.
Got a chance. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about some sports that's happened over the last couple of days. Kind of want to start off with the Packers running back Josh Jacobs. He was released from a Wisconsin jail on Wednesday after being arrested on Tuesday, while authorities further investigate allegations of domestic abuse, which he was alleged to have committed. Strangulation and suffocation are among the other offenses that the running back allegedly committed as well. So they're giving him like a pass just to do the investigation, because there's always two sides of this story. It's always the side of it's the person that's getting called out, and then it's the person that was the victim. And let's not say that the victims, we gotta give a shout out to the victims too, because this might have happened allegedly, and we don't want to second guess anybody in this whole ordeal. But I don't know what's wrong with these NFL players, man. I don't know if they can't hold their. I don't know.
I mean, it's a violent game, and you need to be somewhat of a violent person to play it. And I think sometimes, in the off season, when you don't have these things, seem to always happen during the off season. It's like you don't have an outlet for your violence, and somebody else's. If this happened, somebody else has got to take the brunt of it. So, and again, a lot of times we'll hear that, and I'm very focused on this. I've seen this in my life, and I've cut people out. To me, you lay your hands on a woman, I'm done with you. I don't give you a second chance. And people might say, well, she did something to provoke it. Well, I can tell you, I've been in situations where I've been provoked and I've never struck a woman.
Yeah,
you walk away.
Exactly.
Yeah. You walk away. Remove yourself from whatever situation you're in. If he was provoked, again, we don't know all the details, and maybe we never will. But this is not, unusual, as you alluded to, in the National Football League. There's a lot of violence that takes place that's off the field. It's sad.
And that kind of brings up a point too. And we'll see you next week there, Bo. We know you're working hard out there.
Oh, Bo.
Brother, so that brings up a point. You said something about that, the fact that, taking it off the field and using your aggression on other folks outside of the field kind of puts it in the same sentence as you're taking your aggression out on people that are not football players. And the reason why is because maybe most of the time you can't beat the football players that you're trying to take the abuse on. So you take it to a weaker individuals who can't defend themselves like that. And I don't want to, like I said, this is alleged, so I don't want to put Josh Jacobs out there like that, or anybody in that matter with these kind of charges. But I mean, it seems like football players are always the target. And I don't know if I don't understand if they don't want to seek any kind of counseling that comes toward that, because if you're portraying anger off the field toward people that can't defend against it, women, children, so forth, so on, or even regular fans. Maybe there's a problem with you and you need to get that checked out. I think, and I don't know if the NFL has anything that they do or have a avenue where players can go if they feel that their emotions are overcoming them and they might hurt somebody.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if the NFL doesn't have a program for anger management, whatever we want to call it, right? I'm sure they have something, especially as they become more and more sensitive to domestic abuse and things like that. Just because, again, it should never be acceptable, right? But it's become less and less acceptable in society today. And that's one of the changes in society that I can certainly sign on for. Mm-hmm. And again, I hope, and yet part of it too is it's in the off season. These guys don't have the regimen a lot of times. During the season, their regimen, they got, they know that what they got to do every single day. And, their lives are basically planned for them. But when they have free time, that's when all these things seem to happen, whether it's aggressive driving. I mean, in a way, it's not hitting a woman, right? But it's still acting out. I would think trying to get your aggressions channeled somehow. I think that's a big part of it too. So, and again, a lot of times awful things happen from those episodes as well. So it's kind of sad, and it's too bad we have to see so many of these. And again, a lot of them are in, it's not just the NFL. I don't want to pick on the NFL, but it seems to be more prevalent in the NFL than anywhere else.
Yeah. I don't know if it's maybe it's something that they're taking that's
it could be people. Yes. Some of those things that you might be alluding to do have those side effects where it causes more aggression and uncontrollable aggression in some people. So again, and that's not to excuse him away either. Again, if this happened, I want to make sure, as you have, if it's true, I don't have any. I wouldn't let him play again. Quite frankly, I've said this about every player that this has come up with domestic abuse. I wouldn't let him back because I just don't. I don't give people, kids and women, no second chances. I'm sorry, no. This isn't rocket science. You don't need to be, the brightest bulb in the room to figure out you don't lay your hands on a woman.
And that should be taught, from day one.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of them grow up in that environment. A lot of people, not just football players, a lot of people come from abusive environments when they're growing up, and it does seem to follow through the different parts of the family. But
you never know with Josh Jacobs. That could have happened in his family.
I don't know.
These are things that are some that you can't see. And a lot of people will jump in this day and age. They'll jump on that person and say, well, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. But it comes from a stream of things that happened in the past. I'm not saying that it's right if he did do it.
But at some point, you're responsible for your own actions, right?
Exactly.
Your environment is your environment. I get why you're disposed to do something like that or act out like that. But, you still have a choice. And at the end of the day, you made a choice, and you can't blame your environment forever.
Yeah.
Get help, right?
Get help. And Josh, I hope that you
I hope he didn't do it. And if he did do it, I hope he did,
brother. And I hope that you are exonerated from this. And if you did do it, there, sir, you got to pay the piper. So, because those are very serious charges against you.
Yes, we can be very unprofessional on this show. This is something I will not be unprofessional about because I have zero tolerance for this type of stuff.
And I'm with you on that too. Hey, did you know that there was a NBA playoff game yesterday? I figured, you wouldn't know about that because, the Knicks have been sitting at home after they done swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. The rest of that day passed.
We did celebrate a little yesterday, yes, but we did watch the game because we do have a vested interest in who wins it. And as a Knicks fan, I'd kind of like to see it go 7 games so they can beat each other up a little bit more. But a big win for the Thunder last night. Jack doesn't think some of these games are must-win games, right? But Games 5s, you can't lose it if you're going back on the road for sure. I think it was a bigger game for the Thunder, but I think the Spurs looked really bad. I thought their youth showed up last night more than at any point during this playoff run that I've seen. I just saw a lot of trips down the court where they didn't seem to have any plan at all. So I think you saw the youth in the players, and I think you saw the youth in the coach a little bit last night as well. And maybe I'm being too harsh. They could easily go back to San Antonio and learn something from this and send it to a game 7, which I fully expect to happen, actually.
Yeah.
But I guess it also wouldn't surprise me if the Thunder wrap it up tomorrow night either. So they're still a good team. I mean, how Jack gets on those rants where if the Spurs win this, there's never going to be a rivalry here because the Spurs are going to win everything for the next, 6 years.
Yeah. Well,
Thunder's not going away. Thunder's not going away.
Something in one of our chats. I'm not sure I think it was James pointed this out too. He said because him and James are going at it about that particular topic, and I agreed with James because these two teams are built that way, and they're going to be built that way for a while. I mean, there's going to be guys that come and go because of salary situations, but at the same time, they're going to still keep a core of guys there. I mean, you got to look at the bench for OKC. OKC's bench is like another NBA team.
They play 11 guys. Yeah, they play 11 guys, and they all play well.
Yes, they all play well.
This is kind of, to me, for the next 5 years, 6 years, whatever, this has got the potential to be, Lakers Celtics from the 80s. That's what you're looking at here in the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. And that's good. That's good for basketball. Those kind of rivalries and teams sticking around for a bunch of years is good.
Now, things have come up. Things have come up on this game, too, with the Spurs in general setting their frustrations out. And let me tell you something. That was something I noticed, too. The frustrations came a lot more frequent in this game for the Spurs and mentality-wise as I've ever seen it before. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that the referees had some, they always make bad calls in games. They made 2 terrifically bad calls in this game. But I don't think it was anything that was going to swing it in the favor of San Antonio either. It was just the way San Antonio was playing. When Wemby has 20 points, there's a problem. And he didn't. I think he had like 4 shots, maybe 5. I think it was to
4
get
for
those
15.
20 points.
4 for 15. Yeah.
4 for 15, and the rest of them were free throws. Yeah, you can't do that. You got
only one assist, 6 rebounds. He was really not much of a factor last night.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was blah. But he needs to score like he did the night before. He needs to get up in the 30s, between 30 and 35 points or higher, just to win games, because he's the guy. He's got to realize he's the guy. He's got to take over games. He's got to be SGA. He's got to be that guy that takes over the games. And to tell you the truth, SGA has been kind of disappointing. I mean, he scored 32 points, but they're like a ho-hum 32 points. And they make it on the headlines like, oh, yeah, he scored 32 points and they would lead. I said, no, not really. I mean, he was hitting there, and there's a lot of times he was missing a lot of shots. He wasn't.
Brian? That's the media, though, right? He's not that way. You see, I don't know if you saw the interview right after the game. I can't remember the sideline reporter for NBC, but she said, you haven't been happy with your performance. When are you going to say you had a good game? He goes, when I have one. Because he wasn't satisfied last night. He didn't get off to a great start last night. He had a big finish, but he didn't get off to a great start. And you're right. He hasn't been the SGA that was MVP the last 2 years yet. And he knows it. That's what I like about this kid, too, is, he knows there's more there. Not going to be satisfied.
Yeah, I think the thing about this series, too, is that I think his shots are limited and he's not getting really good looks at the basket, because when Wemby is in there, people will look at, they're looking to see where he's at when they got the ball. Yeah. Now, Wemby needs to play the paint more defensively. I don't know why they have him kicking out. If a center goes out there, let him take his chance of hitting a 3. Let somebody else guard him. You stay inside, and without getting 5-second call. But
right.
The point is, just stay inside the paint. Make your living inside the paint. I don't understand why a guy that's 7'4" with a wingspan of about 10 feet, I don't know if he's undisciplined in that nature, or that's the game plan that they're setting for the defense, because I don't understand how a guy that big in the middle is leaving the middle to go defend somebody out in the 3-point line. Man, screw that. Let him shoot the three.
I agree with you 100%. I said that a couple of times before this series, that the key for SGA, probably anybody playing, it's a Knicks play San Antonio. The key will be to get him out from under the basket so you can open up that lane. And you're right. To me, it's inexcusable if that's the game plan. If it's just his inexperience, right, and immaturity, well, then that'll come and he'll fix that. Yeah. But if that's the game plan, that's, to me, unforgivable, because you're taking your biggest weapon out of your defense, really.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's another thing I noticed last night's game too, as far as defensively. It's like when a player gets hot, you're as a coach, and I think you alluded to this before about him being a young coach as well. You kind of got to make the defense plan. Whoever's starting to get hot for the other team, you got to shut them down. So it's like one player will get hot, and they'll not guard the line. I'm like, dude, this guy's been hitting threes for the last, 6 times he's been down here. Nobody's checking up on him yet. Come on, what's going on with y'all? Let somebody else win the game and stop doubling SGA until he figures it out. And when he figures it out, then you could double him. He is not figuring it out yet. Yeah, he got 32 points. But like I said, a lot of that was at the line. And like I said, and most of that was in the second half. So because he did not have a very good first half at all. But
the whole thing is, we talked a lot about the Spurs and whether the players are too young. And we haven't spent a lot of time talking about the coach, who hasn't been through this either. Right? Thunder's got a young coach too, or fairly inexperienced, other than the fact that he went through these wars last year, and he knows what it takes, and the moves you need to make and the things to pay attention to. And Johnson's a great coach. He's going to be a great coach. I think he's going to be. I shouldn't say he's a great coach today. I think he's got the makings of a great coach, but you gotta earn it.
Yeah, well, we'll see you. Next game is on Thursday. Yep. Hopefully I have a feeling that San Antonio, it's going to come down to the 7th game. And I think the 7th game,
I think it will too,
with all the gawking at the referees on both sides, that stuff's going to, the referees are going to swallow their whistles in game 7, because it's a game 7. And both these teams are pretty evenly matched, except for Wemby, who's a human cheat code, but that's besides the point. They're going to let them play in the game 7. I think it's just going to go there, and then whoever wins that series, obviously will go play the Knicks on June the 3rd. That will be the starting of the NBA championship. Other news in the NBA: Coach Joe Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics was named NBA Coach of the Year.
For what? For what exactly? I mean,
thank you,
God. I mean, there's a guy making adjustments. I never see this guy make one adjustment in the back-to-back playoff runs. What's he do? Tell somebody else to shoot a 3-pointer. I mean, come on. I don't get it. He must have
paid somebody off in this whole thing, because 62 of 100 votes, and Bickerstaff got 26, I think he got. What the hell? First of all,
yeah.
I'm going to like this. Mazzulla even said before this award came about, and even he was considered for Coach of the Year, he said it was a stupid award. Is that the reason why they gave him the award? Because it's a stupid award and they wanted to see him shove it down his throat? I don't understand this. So
well, I understand it, if that's the case. If that's the case,
they're going through they're going to the point that it was an undermanned team, because Jaylen Brown was the lead guy, and they lost a couple of players to free agency, and nobody thought that, Boston was going to do that. I thought Boston was going to do that. I don't know. They still have good players there. I don't understand what they thinking. I'm just flabbergasted at this whole.
And maybe it's my bias. I've never been a big Joe Mazzulla fan from the beginning, and watching the game plans he puts out, it's just, I know this isn't a playoff award. It should be, right? Again, I think we've talked about it. All these awards should take into consideration the playoffs, because most of the players in contention or coaches are in the playoffs. So I think how they perform there should be relevant. But this guy, I can think of, I mean, I feel like I can think of 10 coaches that deserve this over him this year, including Bickerstaff, by the way. Kenny Atkinson deserves it more than he does, and look what he did in the playoffs. So, I mean,
Mitch Johnson, San Antonio's
Mitch
coach.
Johnson's another guy.
I kind of get this to the screwing over the same thing. It seems like whenever I'm sorry, I'm just looking at it from my perspective as being a Detroit fan. Detroit fans get screwed when they have really good coaches in positions, and they get screwed by coaches that should not have won the damn award in the first place. But it always seems to come up when it's a Detroit coach that's going up for the same award. It's like, what? Bickerstaff probably, maybe it's not, he shouldn't have been a clear winner in this. I'm not saying that. But Missoula, 62 votes? Get the heck out of here.
Well, but Detroit must have had guys win Coach of the Year, though, right? No? Chuck Daly win?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about
Larry Brown win? Dan
Campbell from the Lions.
Oh, you're talking about Detroit in general, not just the end.
Detroit in general, yeah. It's like he had Coach of the Year 2023. He didn't have Coach of the Year, but the Cleveland Browns coach got it. Which I'm like, and you got a coach that took a team that sucked completely and put them in the playoffs. I'm not getting. It's just the same thing with Bickerstaff.
Not his first year you're talking about, right? Is that his second year?
That was the second year.
Yeah.
Well,
so, and again, I think that this case probably doesn't fit, but I think too many times voters like to vote for somebody who a team was expected to do nothing and just does more than they were expected to do. And coaches who are expected to win, they don't ever seem to get a chance at that award. That's hard, by the way, as the other example. Just because you got the best team doesn't mean you're going to navigate. You know, Dave Roberts is never going to win Manager of the Year if they win another World Series. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be just automatically eliminated from that conversation.
You got a point there, yeah. And like I said, if it wasn't Bickerstaff, it could have been Mitch Johnson. It could have been a handful of other players. You're correct in that. Just Missoula, no. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're trying to bring back the mystique of Boston this way, because I'm sorry. And you got beat by the 76ers.
After being up 3-1.
I mean, and the 76ers, like they used all their energy playing that. That's the reason why they got their butt kicked by the Knicks. But I don't understand. I'm not understanding the NBA sometimes. They're weird. They're weird. All right. So to some NHL, man, the Golden Knights swept the Colorado Avalanche.
Shocking.
I don't think nobody saw that coming.
Shocking.
Except for the Golden Knights, maybe, and their fans.
Everybody I know that knows more about hockey than me, and that's a lot of people, because I'm a fair weather fan. I'm not ingrained with the games like some other people are. I know you're a bigger hockey guy than I am, and everybody told me, I don't know why we're playing the playoffs, basically, because it's going to be the Canes and the Avs.
That would be
this is all just preliminaries. Listen, John Tortorella is a very polarizing guy, but in the short term, I told Jack this the other morning, I can't think of another guy who is that type of guy, very polarizing, has great success out of the gate, and then, wears out his welcome really quickly as well. Billy Martin's a guy that I think of when I think of John Tortorella.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in here with 8 games left in the regular season. Maybe that's what they should do. Just bring this guy in with 8 or 10 games left and let him work his magic. He hasn't won anything yet, but nobody expects him to get to the finals. So kudos to him. He's got very unorthodox ways of motivating players and pissing off the media and the league. So look, he's a guy who marches to his own drummer, right? And I like John Tortorella when he's here with the Rangers, and I know a lot of people don't like him. I always liked him, and kudos to him.
I never thought he was a bad coach at all. I kind of liked him too. So I don't know why people had this bad thing about him. He's just he's a gritty coach. He don't take no mess, and that's
what
coaches are supposed to do. He tells it like it is. Yeah, you suck, and he'll say that. And that's probably the reason why he's moved around a few times.
Yeah, that's why he's been with, the whole league.
Right. We suck. All right, you're fired. You're the reason why we suck. Players are, but okay. Well, the next question I got for you, and I know, again, it's limited hockey things here. The Golden Knights are they becoming the NHL villains? I mean, look at this. They've made the playoffs 8 years of their 9-year existence, if I can spit it out. Yep. They have a Stanley Cup final in their first year, and they won the Stanley Cup in their 6th year. They've been in the conference finals 5 times out of their existence. That's over half.
Mm-hmm.
They're like people are comparing them to the Yankees. People are comparing them to
9 years isn't like 125.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it though. This is a team that came, and then we got to also kind of spike it a little bit because they did get the advantage of getting players in an expansion, and they got good players during the expansion. It wasn't like they got crappy players.
And I don't know why the NHL did that, but doesn't the NHL have a bit of a history? And I got to go back a ways, and my memory could be faulty. Doesn't the NHL have a history of doing this? When the St. Louis Blues came in the late 60s, didn't they go to the Stanley Cup finals like their first 3 seasons? I don't know if they won. Yeah. I don't think they won.
I think they're the only league, obviously, the only league that does that. And they take players. You have to take a player off your current roster.
Yeah.
And give it to the expansion team, which is crap.
So have they done that every expansion?
Yes, for every expansion team. Yep. Now it doesn't work all the time, but they just caught the NHL at the right time for expansion, and there was very good players on these teams that couldn't be protected by the teams that had to give them up, and they went to Vegas, and they had a good coach there. And in their first year, and that's how they went to the Stanley Cup finals the first year. No, they didn't win, but expansion team going the first year. How many times do you see that in any sport?
St. Louis Blues, the only team I could think of.
Yeah,
first 3 years, I think.
Only in hockey.
I mean, baseball, you're lucky if you don't lose 110 games your first year or two. Baseball's very tough with expansion. So is football, actually, when they've done it. So, and you should have to work your way up. They shouldn't, already make a championship contender for you. And maybe the stars have to align for it to even work out the way it worked out there. Because even with all those advantages, I guess there was a couple extra things that came into play, as you said, expiring contracts and such. But, maybe they'll become villains, I guess. I don't know. The world likes to hate winners. So whatever reason, all the winners become villains.
Yeah, no, it's not. I remember that when the Red Wings were winning like that, and Red Wings suck, and say, they only won 25 in the playoff, been in the playoff year 25 years in a row. But whatever. Anyway,
it doesn't matter the sport, Brian. We like an underdog, and we want to build people up. And as soon as they get to the top, we want to find a way to tear them down. There's a lot of examples of that in nearly every sport you can.
That's what I'm talking about right there. And Robbie brings up the point that they had Marc-Andre Fleury in his first, 2-time Stanley Cup champ. He was with the Penguins. That's how he knows them, obviously. Yeah. So I mean, you got an expansion draft that gives you players like that. I mean, and then you got a good coach, and then let's not overlook the GM for Vegas either, because he or she is doing, I think he's doing a great job with what they're doing there in Las Vegas. So
it's a ballsy move to fire your coach with 8 games left.
Mm-hmm.
When you are already a contender, it isn't like they were, sucking it up. So kudos to them. That takes some chutzpah, and it's working out.
Yeah. They're in the Stanley Cup finals.
And by the way, Jack Tortorella is not going to make them any more loved, by the way. They'll become more villains if they win.
That's right. Next, they're going to be meeting up with the winner of the Hurricanes Canadiens series, which has been a very good series so far. The Hurricanes have a 2-1 lead in that, but all these games, except for the first one, have been hard fought. So, I mean, Canadians are like, hey, we're Canadians. We're the last Canadian team. Let's go for it.
You know, I've been chided by our good friend Danny Fuller for saying this, but hockey's better when Montreal's relevant. That's all he said, by the way. I'm not saying I'm rooting for Montreal. This isn't an international competition, right? This is the NHL playoffs. It's not. If it's the Olympics, and yet certainly I wouldn't want the Canadian team to beat a team for the U.S. team. But this is not an international competition. It's just a league championship.
Professional sports.
And every league has certain franchises that the league is better off when they're relevant, right? I'm sorry. The Cowboys, the NFL is better when the Cowboys are relevant. They just are. It just is. It's good for the league. And it's that way with the Canadians and other teams, not just them. Any of the original six, right? The league is better off when those teams are good. And unfortunately, too many of them have been terrible lately. Right?
Yeah.
The Red Wings and Blackhawks have been awful forever.
Boston's crapping it out, and
Toronto, Rangers,
they get to the Danton playoffs and they can't seem to win anything. And they've had a really good hockey team before this year. They've had a really good hockey team, and they still couldn't do anything about it. Edmonton,
at least irrelevant though, right? I mean,
Edmonton's been in it. Edmonton's been in it a few times, but haven't won it either.
You know, and I'm kind of the kind of hockey fan I am is if the Rangers stink and they're original six team, obviously, but if they are terrible, then I'm going to pull for somebody who is an original six unless there's some other reason I shouldn't. And the Canadians are only one of those teams in there. So
I'm with you on that one too.
So now I'm rooting for him. And now I'm going to change my mind. I am rooting for him to win. Although part of me wants John Tortorella to win too, because it'll be so freaking crazy, man.
Yeah, you know, I want to see his course. Don't say that too loud because Sonia won't like that because Carolina's her team.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know. I'm not going to listen. It's not a big deal if they don't win. But.
Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Major League Baseball. Brewers manager Pat Murphy wasn't at all happy with Abner Urbe after his lewd celebration after a 6-0 win over St. Louis, making a crotch chop gesture toward the Cardinals dugout. That's funny, but this is where you bring sports into this day of this day of generation. That's what it is.
I thought I was watching Pete Weber on the Pro Bowlers tour years ago, for crying out loud. The crotch chop. I mean, good God. I mean, there's nobody can just take the win and, take a strikeout, go sit down, hit a home run around the bases and go sit down. Everybody's got to have, their signature move. Now,
extra stuff to it.
Now, maybe he's not going to do it again because Pat Murphy probably had a conversation with him, I'm sure. And he said, we aren't going to see that anymore, son.
Right.
But, I mean, I want guys to be able to show their personalities. I get it. But, I've already come to understand the bat flip is a cultural thing, and I'm trying to get along here, right? But crotch chops is where I might have to draw the line. I'm sorry.
I mean, what is the problem with just pumping your fists and yelling, when you do something good instead of sitting up there doing crotch chops, flips, whatever kind of bad stuff that they do in this generation of baseball. It's like, I got to be known. I got to be this. It's for, and you know what, to tell you the truth, this is the reason why this stuff happens, because guess what?
They don't hit.
You know where that went? It's on social media all over the place.
The other thing is this, Brian, if pitchers still hit, you'd see less of that from pitchers because he's going to get one in his ear hole next time.
Right.
And he's going to wonder why. He'll be going to the mound with a bat, wondering why the guy threw at his head.
The good old days of baseball.
Take care of business on the field. If these guys hit, we would have less of this stuff.
Yeah. And again, like I said, it's just a generation. They got too much social media out there. Everybody wants to, get on TikTok or be, I want to have so many followers or so many views. And the bad thing about it is, it's not the players, just the players. It's the agents of these players. And they're telling them to do that kind of stuff. Don't get it twisted. These agents are out there trying to make these guys, golden tickets on these social media platforms.
Yeah.
So
I used to call it the Sports Center mentality when things like this would happen, right? But it's not even Sports Center anymore. You're right. It's TikTok. Now it's the TikTok generation, I guess. So
it's like Major Leagues, the movie.
That ball
one to your favorite topics that we need to talk about too. I mentioned this a little bit before we got on. The NCAA is getting Senators Cruz and Cantwell are aiming to fix the college sports logjam with a bipartisan bill. This bill would regulate payments to players limited to one free transfer over their college career and create a rule to restrict coach movement during the season, which, by the way, the coach movement is called what? He just moved to LSU from Ole Miss.
That's Lane Kiffin rule.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it, the Lane Kiffin rule. Anyway.
Brilliant.
I think this is, by the
way,
have the politician governments.
Go ahead. Good. I got it.
Trying to regulate college basketball because they're too freaking stupid to do it on their own.
They can't regulate themselves, number one. And by the way, did these two guys know that all of this stuff that they want to put in this bill was all talked about at the meeting that the president had with all these big honchos from the NCAA, presidents, coaches, ADs, and they talked about all of that stuff. And actually, a suggestion was put out by the White House, actually, what should happen. And Charlie Baker, for the NCAA president, to his benefit, has been trying to implement some of these. There's a vote next month on the eligibility, the 5-year eligibility from the time your high school class graduates or you turn 19, whichever comes first. 5 years, that's it. Don't talk to us anymore. There's no red shirting. There's no anything. You get one transfer. And part of that was supposed to be, and they're not voting on this next month. They were going to, but somehow that got taken out. The one transfer was in there, one transfer without penalty. And they did talk about limiting NIL and whatnot. So all this has been kicked around. These two guys are trying to put a bill out like they just came up with the idea here, in the middle of the night over some scotches or whatever they drink. But I don't like the idea of Washington and Capitol being involved in any of this. And the NCAA has been waiting for Congress to do something for 6 years. And look at Jesus Christ. They can't make money with the post office when it was a freaking monopoly. That's a long time ago. But see, why do you want the government running anything? I don't want them involved in sports.
Yeah, I'm not understanding.
Those are all good ideas, by the way, but still, the NCAA's got to police it. Who's going to police it? The NCAA doesn't police anything.
Well, I don't want the Senate or the House to be policing it either.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So listen, they're all good ideas.
Government figures policing it because they got other things to do. They got other things to F up. So they
what are they going to do?
What I'm saying?
Are they going to step in and determine how many playoff teams there should be? Is that going to be the next thing that they put down?
And that's funny, too, because they can come to determinations for that kind of stuff, the NCAA, but they can't come to determination for this kind of stuff.
Right.
Come on. It is not rocket science. You can figure it out.
Well, they kept kicking it down the road, right? First, we were going to let the universities police themselves, which was brilliant, by the way. That's like giving the bank robbers the keys to the bank and saying, just take what you need. Don't take any more. I mean, come on. That was their first plan. Then we'll let state by state do it. That's not going to work because they all have to interact with each other. Oh God, it's just the NCAA can't get out of their own way. They can't.
And it's bad. Because they should be able to do this. If you got professional teams, you got professional leagues that can, make rules, implement rules, and do it without having everybody else involved in it. I don't understand why the NCAA has this problem. I just don't.
partly is because as soon as they make a ruling on something, somebody takes them to court for something else. Or everything. I mean, it's a very litigious society in general, but college athletics is more litigious than any part of society these days. They sue over everything. They sue to stay in school. They sue to get out of school. They sue to be able to move to a new school. They sue if our school leaves at one conference and goes to another. We sue for everything. So I think they're afraid. They're afraid to act on their own, or they're going to spend years in court. Crazy. It's just nuts. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't know what the end game is going to be for NCAA sports. I mean, look at Kirby Smart says the other day that, we with the SEC should just, break off and have our own, do our own thing. We'll have our own rules. We'll have our own playoff. Well, that's a national championship is those 16 teams. That's it. So nobody's going to buy that. You think ESPN's going to pay all that money if they break off and they're just the SEC and that's your where you're going to pull your champions from? And how are you going to support all the other sports? The AD from a Big 12 school. I want to say it was Kansas State. Last week he said, "Let them break off. Let them go." They were talking about the SEC and the Big Ten then. Let them go. How are they going to support their other sports, right? How are they going to support softball teams and lacrosse teams and whatever else with 20 teams, right? How are they going to do that? They can't. So it's not, and don't let them stay behind. His point was let them break off for football, but they can't just break off for football. They got to take all their sports with them.
Yep.
If they they're not going to do that.
I mean, if they do that, but they probably won't. You're right. Look at other conferences that'll follow. Big Ten will follow them. The ACC will follow them. It's just going to be. It's going to be a mess. It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's all I got to say.
I think the SEC's being a little churlish and childish here because right now they're not the big dog. It's the Big Ten is the big dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look at. I mean, I don't necessarily want a 2014 playoff, but the Big Ten is all in, and every team is on board. And the SEC doesn't want it because they don't want to give up their conference championship game, which is worth $100 million all by itself. And ESPN doesn't want it, and that's where the SEC gets their marching orders from. But it's really the Big Ten because they're the ones winning championships right now. They're the ones that are really, I think, have the power, the real power more than. I mean, they both have it. Don't get me wrong. And the ACC and the Big 12 are always going to have to listen to those two. They're going to make whatever happens with the playoff and probably anything in college football is going to revolve around the Big 10, the SEC. But the Big 10, I think, has the upper hand now, where that wasn't the case 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do.
Yeah, they've grown. Well, that's what happens when you take in other teams.
Yes.
And it's not the Big 10. It's like the Big 400 now. Anyway.
You know what? At the end of the day, it's funny. It's not even the Big 10 against the SEC. It's really Fox against ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's controlling the strings here.
Yep. Exactly. Speaking of politics, Robbie brought up a good point that I was going to probably bring up in a little while. The UFC event in front of the White House on Trump's birthday. What are your feelings toward that? I'm not a big UFC person anyway.
I'm not either. But, somebody brought it up on my show Sunday. I didn't even know it was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't care. I mean, who cares? There's a lot more things to worry about. Whether we're having a party with is it UFC, right?
Yep, UFC.
Invited to the White House. I don't care.
There's your buddy Danny right there. Hope everything's
Danny's
going well with you, sir.
Hello, Danny. Big Nick fan, Danny is. Just kidding.
He'll be saying something in a minute. In NFL, the Chargers and safety Darren James was signed to a 3-year, $75.6 million extension, making him the highest and paid safety in the NFL for the second time in his career.
Every week there's a new highest paid guy at some position, right?
Well,
highest paid long snapper is what I want to know.
When I think of safeties in the NFL, I don't think of Derwin James as
I don't either.
The highest priority safety. I can think about 2 or 3 other safeties that are better than him right now.
Maybe more.
Yeah, maybe more. You might have that. But yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. So hopefully, I mean, hey, you like James always says, you get paid what the team thinks you're worth. So
That's what I've said
kudos
forever.
to him.
Worth,
Good.
what you're worth and what you earn is two different things. So
what do you think about the Daniel Jones saying that he's absolutely expects to start week 1? I absolutely expect him to start week 1.
I would think too, if he's healthy. Again, Achilles injuries aren't always that easy to come back from, but I would expect him to be the starter. Who's there? Richardson. Who'd they bring in? They brought somebody in.
Richardson. I don't know who's on their roster right now.
Somebody in.
Because there's they're at the 90 player point right now.
They brought somebody in at quarterback. Hold on. Well, Riley Leonard's there. No, I guess they didn't, because they got Richardson second and Riley Leonard third. I mean, who are they going to play? There's no competition there.
Yeah, I mean, Riley Leonard's not he's not a bad guy. He did play pretty well when he played. I mean, he played good for a youngster. He was a rookie.
Riley Leonard I liked a lot in college, and I thought if he stayed healthy that, he could be a project in the NFL, and if nothing else, he'd be a good backup for a long time in this league, barring injury again. But I don't think he's going to start over Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones is what we saw last year, and that's an if, again, injury and regression are possible. But listen, I've liked Daniel Jones' potential forever. I think Daniel Jones' the whole narrative about Daniel Jones would have been different if he got picked in the second round by the Giants and not 6 overall. That set up the narrative for his whole career. And even when he showed some positive signs in New York, they were still down on him because he didn't play like guys who get picked behind him. I think Mahomes went in that draft. Wasn't Mahomes in that draft? The same draft, wasn't it? Yeah. So it's not a fair comparison. And if he'd been picked in the second round, the narrative of his career would be totally different.
Yeah. It's also what the team does with your quarterback, too. I keep saying that a lot of times. It's like Chicago fans are always lamenting, we should have got Patrick Mahomes. I said he wouldn't have done. He'd been a 4,000 yard. He wouldn't even be a 4,000 yard pass with y'all because you guys don't know how to do quarterbacks.
Well, the system.
That's just a lot. Something that that's historical. You can't get away from that. They've never had more than a 4,000 yard. Well, they got.
Well, now they do
this year, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, it took you all this time in your whole history to get one player to get 4,000 yards in a season.
Yeah, but you got to look. I mean, they haven't had that many good quarterbacks. I mean, when Jim McMahon's the best quarterback you had in all those years, Jim Harbaugh, these aren't guys that are known for being prolific passers. Bobby Douglas, I think he ran for more yards than he threw.
Cutler, who else?
Eric Kramer. I'm going back a ways.
Eric Kramer's probably been their best quarterback, to tell you the truth. And he was a Lions reject.
Yeah.
Well, not reject, but he went to Chicago after the Lions. So some NFL questions for you there, Keith, just so we can run up out of here. Get you to your show. What can we expect from Aaron Rodgers' final season? What's your opinion on it? I
hope lots of comedy, hopefully. I mean, I really think him and Mike McCarthy are not going to see eye to eye. They'll all be, laughing and slapping each other's back in training camp. But I still think when push comes to shove and in the regular season and things aren't going perfect, that McCarthy and Rodgers are going to be not on the same page. And I think it's going to be fun for shows like this, but for Steelers fans, maybe not. I don't like the prospects of the Steelers this year. I really don't. I don't know why. I'm not crazy about the wide receiver core. I know they brought in who'd they bring in?
Michael Pittman.
Michael Pittman, who I like, but he's had some injury issues. We know that I'm having trouble with names today. Maybe I got to get my cognitive test redone. I don't know. DK Metcalf. Again, he's going to get hurt. They're all going to get hurt at some point. And I'm not crazy about their running game either. So I think this could be the Steelers could go under 500 and wish Mike Tomlin were standing on the sideline.
Wow. I mean, I think Rodgers is going to be palatable. I don't think he's going to be, the Aaron Rodgers we expect from days of lore. You got to remember who he's throwing to too. You mentioned Mike Pittman, and you got the other guy on the other side who likes to take plays off, or he doesn't get involved in it. Yeah, games off. Yeah, and that's. I mean, they did okay last year. They managed to win a division, and that's with a bad. The problems that Cincinnati had with the quarterback. He wasn't in there that whole time. I don't know what happened to Baltimore. They just fell apart. And he's a hater. Nobody's hating. We're just telling
I'm not hating. I'm just looking at it. It'll be fun if it does. If that time bomb blows up like Danny posted, it's going to be fun for us. Maybe not for you fans, but we'll have some fun with it. Look, I could see them competing up there. I don't know. Cincinnati, everybody wants to talk about Cincinnati and that they might be the Super Bowl team this year. If they score 60 points a game, they got a shot, I guess. But the AFC North is not the AFC North we knew like 3 or 4 years ago. It's not the same. I think, in all honesty, I could see probably any one of those teams, except maybe Cleveland. I don't know. Cleveland's going to be better, I think. But I could see any one of those other teams winning a division, and I could see any one of them finishing last. We saw in Baltimore last year the bottom can fall out when your quarterback gets hurt and people aren't on the same page. Things don't go well. And I got a feeling that, I just feel like it's going to be a circus there. Maybe it's hopeful, wishful thinking. I don't know. Well, I mean, Rodgers is making his, his goodbye tour this year because he will be retiring. So I don't know how much that's going to give motivation to the team itself. He's there 1 year. It's not like he's retiring after 20 years with the organization, right? He's been there 2 years. I mean, 1 year, now second year. I don't think that motivates the team. I don't think. Well, as everybody knows, I'm a big Rodgers hater anyway, so I hope he trips and falls on his face, to tell you the truth. But anyway, that's besides the point. If we're doing factual football, I think he'll be, like I said, palatable enough to take them. I think they could be a 9-8, 10-7 team. I don't know if they're going to win a division, but they sure, because Cincinnati and Baltimore will be better this year. That's just automatic, I think, for those two teams. Cleveland's still going to be a crap team, but I just can't. And without Tomlin there, 9-8's not even 9-8's not a vision anymore. No, it's not. No. It's not. No. It's not automatic anymore. So, listen, I don't hate on Rodgers either. I really had a lot of respect for Rodgers before he jumped on the crazy train. Then, all bets are off. Crazy train. Yeah, the mushroom train. That is the mushroom train, right? Yeah. Hey, those look good. Let me follow that. Yeah. Question: which team got shafted by the schedule? By the NFL schedule. And I don't like talking about this too much in like strength of schedule either, because teams change. It does change a lot, right? I mean, again, I heard a lot about the Patriots schedule last year. Obviously, before the season, it looked better than what it turned out to be. And it could go the other way too. You're going to see teams that have really tough schedules, like the Patriots. They got the North. I mean, but it isn't like, I don't think the NFL stacks anybody's schedule to do them a disservice. I mean, there's a rotating formula, right, for when you're going to play every other division, the whole division, and they come up with the North this year, which is tough. But Danny's a Redskins fan. Yeah, 5 wins. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know the exact formula and who's supposed to play who depending on where they finish, because I don't really pay attention. Whatever teams come up on a schedule, that's who you got to play. So other than that, it's really irrelevant to me, and it should be to everybody in my mind. Because By the way, there's going to be 5 teams that we think are going to be good and they're going to stink, and there's going to be 5 teams we think are going to stink that are going to be a lot better than we think. So that's going to throw the whole thing into.
It's just like a discussion that we were having on One Ass Cheek Three Toes show about the Detroit Lions schedule, talking about how many games they should win. Well, if you base it on that last year, yeah, they could have a good winning percentage. But at the same time, all these teams are different. They've lost a third of their roster and regained a third of their roster with different players. It's been a change around. You can't the NFC South, who is usually the weaker of the conferences, they got better this year.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that, but they got better this year. So they're probably not going to be the conference that they were last year or the year before that. They'll probably have an 10, 11, 12 win team in that conference. You never know. It depends who flourishes with the players that have made adjustments to the team. So, I can't.
And perception is in the moment thing, right? My perception of, say, the Patriots schedule today, or my expectations for my team, or your expectations for your team, change depending on what happens over the course of time, right? So your perception of the schedule or what you expect your team to do based on that schedule in May is going to be a whole lot different than it is in September, and a whole lot different than it is in December. And the Giants, they do suck, by the way. That is a Nick. It's actually red. It comes out orange on the screen. I don't know why, but it's red. For the Redskins. I wore this for the Redskins. It just came out orange.
They're not really red anyway.
And one last. I picked the Giants to actually play the Dodgers in the NLCS this year. That's why he's correcting me.
Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah, you did do that. Last question, real quick. Which teams are you certain will regress? Besides the teams that already regressed. Regressed.
Wait a minute, I can't pick teams that have already regressed.
Right. So Miami's not a one, so you can't pick Miami.
Jacksonville is a contender for that for me. I don't think they're winning 13 games. If we're just basing on wins, the Patriots are likely to regress as far as wins and losses. I think they'll be a better team, though. As far as regressing in performance, the Eagles, I think, might regress.
I like that.
I like the Cowboys there.
You mean to win the
Bears might regress. They got a really tough schedule, right? So, speaking of the schedules, I mean, the Bears are a candidate for that. I won't say another team, I think, because I'll have Sonia, send me a letter bomb or something. I won't say that. So I'll stay away from that one.
I'll say it for you. Carolina, yeah.
The Rams might regress, quite frankly. I don't know. If Stafford keeps playing at that level, yes, but at some point he's going to come back to earth. And again, they didn't do anything to help the offense, which is good, really good. But to me, the Ty Simpson pickup for them looks worse by once you extend him another year. You guarantee him $105 million the next 2 years, and you did nothing to make him more likely to get to the Super Bowl. McDuffie's a big pickup. I will have to give him that. But
yeah, I think that right there for the Rams will probably put them because that was a real big issue last year. Sam Darnold was feasting off their secondary. Their secondary was kind of like garbage, and then they were missing Durham Williams too. He was out for the season, so they're gonna. I don't know if they traded him or if he's coming back. I'm not sure what the status is on him. But then they'll have him, and if they didn't trade him, they have him. You got him and Surtain. So
one other team I'm not as high on as a lot of other people are the Texans, because I don't know if their defense is championship caliber right now. They could win, but the offense I just don't think is going to be any better than it was last year. I mean, they did improve incrementally on the offensive line, and their wideouts are good, but they got to be healthy. And I'm not a big fan of Montgomery coming in there, because this is just the third time they've gone with a guy with a lot of miles on him. He's a good player, been a good player, but this hasn't worked out. This is the third time they've gone to this well, and it really hasn't worked out for him. I just don't think that offense is going to be significantly better this year, and I don't know if the defense can win 12 games.
I think I'm on the other side of that one, but we'll have time to debate that in the future because we got a lot of
I'm going to be wrong.
and a lot of.
I'm going to be wrong about a lot of stuff I just said. To be clear, but.
And you and me both, brother.
You've probably heard me say this. I go by the Billy Packer axiom of I'm sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. So,
yeah. And on that note, we will bid you adieu. We'll see you next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch Keith next on the college hoopla. He's going to go through. So,
gotta wing it.
Stay tuned.
See you guys.
Everybody have a great day.
See you, Brian.